Let us try a second problem. 6x squared minus 13x plus 5. And notice that neither of the three terms, well, all three terms do not have a common factor. So we can skip that step. And next, we're going to see if we can come up with a binomial factor here and a binomial factor here, such that when I FOIL it, I have this expression. Let's begin by listing the possibilities. Remember, the coefficient of x squared is not a 1, it's a 6 here. So I have to list the possibilities, the pairs of numbers that multiply to 6, and separately the pairs of numbers that multiply to 5. As we mentioned before, there are a lot more possibilities for us to check when the coefficient of x squared is not 1. So let's begin with 6. We have 6 and 1. We also have 3 and 2. 6 times 1 is 6, 3 times 2 is 6. And remember, we don't have to reverse. I don't have to write 1 and 6. I don't have to write 2 and 3 because I'm dealing with the first position. 6 and 1 is sufficient. For the second position, I have a 5. I need numbers, pairs of numbers that multiply to 5. So I have 1 and 5. I have 5 and 1. Give me plus 5. But because there's a negative in the problem, I have to list negative possibilities. So the negative of each of these pairs will also multiply to give me plus 5. Negative 1 times negative 5 is plus 5. And negative 5 times negative 1 is also plus 5. All right? Let's begin the work. We start checking, and I'll begin checking with 6 and 1 in the first positions, and I'll write 6x and 1x in the first positions. And for the second positions, I'll write plus 1, and plus 5. But wait a minute. If we do this, if I write a plus 1 here, and I write a plus 5 here to check this pair, it can't possibly check. The reason is there's a negative in this quadratic. If all of the terms are positive, I cannot possibly get a negative 13x. So this possibility and this possibility are both out because they will not give me a negative middle term. So I drop down to these two possibilities. So let's put a negative 1 in the first position, a negative 5 in the second position, and let's FOIL it. 6x times 1x is 6x squared. 6 times a negative 5 is a negative 30x. Ooh, that looks big. Negative 1 times x is a negative 1x. Negative 1 times a negative 5 is a plus 5. And we see the 6x squared and the plus 5 are just fine. However, the middle term, negative 30 and negative 1 is negative 31x. Doesn't check. I want negative 13x. So this first pair here does not work. Let's reverse the pair. I have 6x minus 5, and I have x minus 1. Keep in mind I'm taking the minus 5 and the negative 5, negative 1, and substituting them in the second positions. Let's FOIL it. 6x times x is 6x squared. This is a minus 6x, minus 5x, and a plus 5. And since all the action is in the middle term, negative 6x, negative 5x, we'll just check directly. Gives me negative 11x. Doesn't match. So this check does not work. And 6 and 1 is out as a possibility because I checked all the possibilities for the last positions already. So we're left with 3 and 2. So let us write 3x in the first position and 2x in the other first position. And let's test negative 1 and negative 5. Foiling it, 3 times 2 is 6x squared. 3x times negative 5 is negative 15x. Negative 1 times 2x is negative 2x. Negative 1 times a negative 5 is a plus 5. And as you can see, at this stage, the 6x squared and the plus 5, they're just fine. We're looking at the middle term. And negative 15 and negative 2 add up to negative 17x. Does not work. So this pair is not correct. Let's check the second pair. So I'm going to write my expression as 3x and 2x for my first positions. And put a negative 5 and a negative 1 in the second positions. And let's FOIL it again. 3 times 2 is 6x squared. 3 times a negative 1 is a negative 3x. Negative 5 times 2 is a negative 10x. And negative 5 times a negative 1 is a plus 5. And if you take a look at the middle term now, negative 3x and negative 10x give me my negative 13x. We have our answer. The factored answer is 3x minus 5 times 2x minus 1. And I urge you to run through the FOIL check yourself. I would like for you to try one. So let's see you try the following. Factor 4x squared minus 4x minus 3. Pause the video, come up with your answer, and when you're ready for a check, turn the video back on again.